Previously on Kawaii-Fi Quest.
Back to Kyle on the field.
I'm being mauled by a uni-rabbit.
Well, I'd say that was a victory for us.
Absolutely, a job well done. Smashing work, everyone.
You two didn't do anything. You just sat up in the commentary box, God knows how that got there, giving a blow for blow while a uni-rabbit tried to eat me.
You are correct, Carl. That is what we did. And what a fight it was, Carl. Let's see some of the best replays of the match. There you are!
Enchanted Tara.
Wait, who?
From parts 1 and 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
His Royal Highness has tasked me with keeping an eye on you three and making sure you don't go off gallivanting on some strange side quest. He said that if you get distracted again, I'm to... excuse me, but why is that uni-rabbit munching on your cloak?
Told you that's what they were called.
Your dragon's a pigeon.
Yeah, it seems to have calmed down now, huh? Doesn't seem bloodthirsty at all, actually.
Well, no. Uni-rabbits may be considered monsters, but they're rarely violent. Small children often keep them as pets.
And why was a horde of them attacking the town?
That is indeed a good question. Only a great force of evil could cause such docile creatures to become violent.
Like an evil dragon.
Probably not.
An evil dragon with an evil plan?
No.
A stressed-out evil dragon soccer mom.
Chris was shopping at the crack of dawn on Black Friday.
With her 8 screaming hungry kids.
Yeah, in stiletto heels, applying mascara.
And she's dropped the mascara and is chugging a low-fat decaf hazelnut soy Chardonnay spritzer.
And her phone is on 10% battery.
That would make me...
So,
Yeah.
let me get this right. You're telling me the most likely candidate for the greatest evil in the land is a stressed-out evil dragon soccer mum Christmas shopping?
Hush, Enchantress Tara! Say no more of this creature, for if you say its name, you may summon it. Its name is only spoken in dark, dark alleys in hushed whispers.
What's its name?
Karen.
Really?
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Onii-chan?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi!
Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa, and welcome to a new episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast where we look into the world of anime and manga. I'm your host, Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts, Coco and Kenny. How you doing, guys?
Pretty good,
I'm
pretty
burning
warm.
hot.
Yes, we are in Australia. That means it's heading into bushfire in hot season, and we're sweating buckets.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
already, 40 degrees out there?
We had 38, 39,
Yeah.
40 degrees C. To put that into comparison for our friends in the States, that's 103 or 4 degrees Fahrenheit or something. It's pretty full on.
Usually it can reach a little bit more, so...
We've gotten to 45 before, and then everyone
Yeah.
just stayed indoors and the power went out because everyone was using air cons.
And then if you go into the red centre, I think you get to maybe like 56, 57,
Yeah, it's
something
pretty
like that.
nuts. But I
Fun.
have some disappointing news.
Oh, dear.
Which is probably mostly disappointing for me because of my obsession with Japanese music, and you're just kind of a bit like, oh. The band Nico Touches the Walls have broken up after 15 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right, I am a bit like,
Yeah, so am I.
You probably would have heard one of their songs if you watched any shonen anime over the past 15 years. They did openings for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Naruto Shippuden, Heroic Legend of Arslan. They've got a very unique sound, and it's a shame because I really like listening to them. I'm going to stop listening to them, but I was excited to see what they were going to do next because I think the most recent album was only like a year ago.
I think he had plans to try to see them in Japan at some point.
Yeah, I was hoping to go see them at J-Fest, but that's not
off the
That's a bit
cards
off the
now, I
cards.
guess.
Unless there's a
Yeah.
reunion in like
Yeah,
5 years.
they might do a Spice Girls and do a reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
they
missing
might.
half the members.
Well, just one.
Just one. But yeah, they said basically the last 15 years, the work they've made is irreplaceable treasures for them, but they have a feeling of, and this is, I think this is probably a translation thing, but wanting to go see new scenery as individuals. I think it just kind of means like they've enjoyed the work they've done, but now they want to go and see what they can put together themselves.
That's
do
fair
their
enough.
each own individual thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
fair.
pretty good.
A lot of
So
people do
you're gonna,
that.
I really, I'm a bit devastated, but.
Oh, it's okay, Kyle.
I'm just gonna
It's
cry over
okay.
here. Hand me my Monster Energy
fi-
drink and some drywall to take it out
Yeah,
of.
we'll find you some drywall, dude. Don't worry. If
But
anyone out there knows of any drywall Kyle can punch, just let us know. It'll help him.
But-
It'll help us.
on to better things, and we do need to talk about some of the animes we've been watching.
Especially B-Stars.
Now, we do have a bit of a disclaimer for this. Just like last season with Teazimas Takagi. It's not currently available outside of Japan, so we've utilised our friend's Japanese Netflix
Shout
account.
out to our friend who shall remain nameless.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much.
To watch it. Look, it's incredible. Like even if you haven't got subtitles, like cinematically, the way it's shown, the way it's shot, the way the composition is done, this is top tier stuff.
Absolutely. I'm very happy with it.
One of my favourite parts so far is the stop motion animated opening,
yes.
which is incredible. We've
shared it on our Facebook page. We actually tried to put up the video, and then Facebook immediately went, we're not having that. Copyright strike.
Silly Facebook.
It's not monetized, guys. Come on.
Practically a badge of honor to be copyright strike.
Pretty much these days.
It kind of is, but this opening sequence is amazing. The music is incredible in this show.
And like for a stop motion, like we're used to seeing things like Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
This is so refined.
Like stop motion is already monumentally hard, lengthy, just arduous. Doing a choreographed dance sequence with it is just, why would you even,
I'll have to say, though, I love Wallace and Gromit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think Wallace and Gromit is absolutely incredible.
Oh, I know, but you see with Wallace and Gromit, like it is a very specific style, and they're working based on the framage.
This one, the movement is what really struck me, because there's part of it where they dance. I don't think that's giving anything away.
No.
And the way that
it's
movement
an opening
is
sequence.
captured.
90% of the stuff in opening sequences never happens in the anime.
Well, we don't know yet. We haven't reached the end of it. It may happen. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's a very catchy tune. But look, this is going to actually land in English on Netflix early next year. So we'll be definitely talking about that again once it lands, because wow.
A few mature themes to it as well, though.
Oh yeah, this one ain't for kiddies.
Heads up.
So
Yes.
do be aware. And we should probably talk about the recent developments in Dr. Stone. Because with obviously
Big deal.
staying spoiler free, but if you've been following Dr. Stone and then dropped off it for a bit, you should come back, because I think it's episode 14 and 15 and 16. You get to find out a lot of the backstory about what on earth is going on and how they've ended up in the situation you're in.
We go back in time.
Like, not everything is revealed, but enough of the details of just why these characters are the way they are in this moment is just like laid bare, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I finally got around to watching the last few episodes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the utter deluge of anime out this season, it's pretty hard to keep on top of everything.
Absolutely.
It is, and Dr. Stone is so worth keeping up on top of, because this recent development is just like, and then it opens new questions up.
A lot of new questions.
And frankly, it's just a great series to keep along with for its educational content. Educational almost sounds like a dirty word in cases of like entertainment and manga and anime and stuff like
we
that.
were talking about this earlier, because we do want to do like a segment where Japan's trying to teach us a thing.
Yeah.
There's so many animes out there that do that.
And because of our age group, I think maybe for us, when we think educational, we think of our teacher wheeling in one of those old CRT screens and putting a VCR, a video cassette, into the VCR player,
and making you watch Gattaca every week for 3 years.
Maybe
was your
that was my English teacher through year 8, 9, 10,
and then
I had him for some reason for the religion class, because I was going to a Catholic school, and he's like, "We're going to watch Gattaca for religion." I'm like, "You've made us watch this in every class you've had it for us for the last 4 years."
Like that movie.
He really liked Gattaca.
Well, and you know what? After hearing this, and after hearing that everyone had seemingly gotten a teacher that made them watch Gattaca, I was like, I've been left out. Like, I hear all about this film that everyone seems to have seen but me, so I had to go and watch it myself. So, but yeah, I was thinking of like the old sort of science videos that are made like in the 80s. That I don't know how they're still around, but that's what we got.
Heavily out of date. It's great when they're like, we don't know how this thing happened. It's like, I know for a fact that we do know how that happened.
You had like the old kind of hokey 1950s things going, science, what is it? What does it do?
Yeah.
Well, we'll answer those questions today with some soda and baking water. Wait.
Yes, exactly. And it would tell you exactly what composites water and stuff like that.
But yeah, it's
that's the idea I get when I think of educational.
Anime in no way does anything like that.
Well,
and
I mean-
if it does so showing you like monsters and explosions and stuff, and they're mixing these compounds on the fly.
Prime example, Cells at Work.
Yes.
Right, which I think we will have to do like an educational one. Not so much like I wouldn't say calling it educational because people will go, I don't want to watch that. But more fun facts.
Is there a shorter way of saying educational than Japan trying to learn you a thing while stuff explodes?
No, there really isn't.
Educational it is.
Anyway,
Educanime.
oh,
No.
That
Yeah.
sounds like something that a government came up with in the 80s to
Yeah.
try and convince teachers to use a certain teaching method.
That sounds like a kind of cheese.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, let's stay on track. So this episode, we are actually diving back into the 80s. And we're going to be looking at two franchises that have kind of stuck around with us for the past 30 odd years.
Yeah, it's like they are from the 80s and they are quintessentially 80s, and yet they have just followed us right into the modern generation.
One of them has got let's be honest, one of them is a source of infinite memes. Yeah, and the other
Nani?
has recently seen a live-action adaptation in France, of all places.
Oh.
So we're talking Fist of the North Star and City Hunter this episode.
City Hunter's the one that went to France.
Yes, it is.
Somehow that doesn't surprise.
No,
No, it doesn't.
It really doesn't.
Having seen the slapstick nature, the French
Yep,
love,
they love it.
slapstick.
Anyway, we'll get to all this right after the news.
Making headlines.
Really? Sort of. Anime news.
The end of One Piece and Vinland Saga's mangas are in sight, and a spattering of new dubs on the way. This is Kawaii-Fi Anime News. The upcoming film for Boy Love series Given has received a soft release date of spring 2020 this year. Fuji TV's new Boy Love label, Blue Lynx, is producing the film alongside two new movie adaptations, all of which have had advanced ticket sales launch this week. The Given anime series aired in July 2019 and has received high rating reviews throughout the community, sitting on a score of 8.2 on My Anime List for 28,000 reviews. Dark Zootopia series Beastars will be joining Netflix's international lineup first thing in 2020, according to the streaming service. The series debuted on Netflix, Japan, and Fuji TV on October 8th and follows the stories of Rogoshi the Wolf at Cherryton Academy. The series is based on the manga of the same name by Itagaki Kaparu, which won the 11th Manga Taisho Award in 2018. And it may be one of the longest running manga series in history, but appears One Piece is definitely coming to an end in the next 5 years. Manga creator Oda Ichiro stated in 2 interviews this year that he wanted to end the story in the next 5 years, with the series planned to have just over 100 volumes by its end. This statement was further confirmed by the series editor this week, Naito Takuma, who stated if Oda says it will be 5 years, then it will surely end in 5 years. He also said that if the manga continued at the pace of the recent Wano Country arc, then they would likely meet Oda's planned timeframe, but he was uncertain on how close it would be. As with estimates, only time will tell, so we'll know if his guess was correct around 2024. The creator of Vinland Saga has also announced the planned end of the popular manga series, saying the fourth and final arc is now underway. Creator Yukimuro Makoto said in a tweet that there will be more than 1,000 pages and 50 chapters until the series ends, taking several more years for completion. The adaptation of the series is currently airing on Amazon Prime Video and will run for around 25 episodes this season. Heading to the bookshelves, the latest Battle Angel Alita manga, Gundam Mars Chronicles, is taking a 2-month break, likely due to creator Kishiro Yukito's poor health. The franchise's latest entry began publication in 2014 and also took a 1-month break in September due to Kishiro suffering a sudden illness. The series appears in a fortnightly publication, Kodanshi's Evening Magazine, and will return in late January 2020. Staying with Kodanshi's Evening Magazine, Sunbai Kai will be launching a new manga titled Mizutamari ni Ukabau Shima, or The Island Where Puddles Float, in the magazine's November 26th issue. Sunbai is known for his series Erased, which has seen an anime adaptation, live-action film, and Netflix live-action series in recent years. And in dub news, High Dive have announced the dub cast for this season's basketball anime Ahiro no Sora, with the first 3 episodes available on the service already, and Crunchyroll have also announced dubs for 2 more of this season's shows, High School Prodigy's Have It Easy Even Another World, and Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life. Both shows have a range of veteran and new voice actors on boards and are having their first episode of the dub available online right now. And that's your anime news for the week ending November 17, 2019.
I'm not sure I believe it.
What?
Believe what?
I'm not sure I believe that One Piece will end.
I can't blame you.
Like,
I can't blame
it's
you.
just a juggernaut.
How will it end? Has he actually... I'm not a One Piece fan. Has he found the One Piece yet? Will he find the One Piece at the end and it turns out to be like...
I'm under the impression the One Piece is... just like Dragon Ball, it is a part of the show, but it is not the end goal.
Yeah, no, what I suspect will happen is that it will have its whole final ending thing a la Fairy Tale, not too long ago, and then there will be spin-offs following
like
one character or
Boruto
another.
from Naruto?
Similar, yes,
Yeah.
similar.
Okay.
Well, I think you're right, to be honest. But noting that, Vinland Saga also coming to an end. Admittedly, it's the same sort of deal. It's like, well, I've still got 50 chapters left, though amusingly, if you go find the author's tweet, it's... He finishes it off saying, this is all provided that I don't get cancelled. And then with a little emoji, it's like, oh, all this guy's pictures on his Instagram are just him pulling cheeky and silly faces. So clearly he's a bit of a joking type.
I like it.
But that's good it's good to know that there is actually an end point, because I'm under the impression the current story that we're seeing in the anime covers that first arc. So that would fit nicely into 4 seasons.
I am still so monumentally impressed with this anime, not just for its storytelling, it's just unique visuals, and it's awesome
it's very
characters.
pretty.
But just for the historic impact of it, just the fact that these are people from history, if a little stylized.
Well, I mean, that's a case a lot. I mean, look at all the Oda Nobunaga stuff, which
Exactly.
is very stylized.
Which we still need to catch up on.
Yes, Young Butterfly.
I'm ahead of you
Gorgeous
guys a
Butterfly.
little bit on it, but it's definitely something to go back to.
Also, Sunbae from Erased having a new manga coming out.
It's got an intriguing title.
It does. The Island Where Puddles Float. And immediately I just go, has this got something to do with Weathering With You? Like similar sort of sounding style compared to what we saw visually in that film.
I was thinking it would be something like, what is that Nickelodeon cartoon? Gravity Falls, where at some point gravity goes, whoopsie!
Well, we will know a bit more I think it should be end of this month that the first chapter comes out, so we'll start seeing the reviews
We'll
floating
have to
in.
wait until then.
Fingers crossed.
Anyway, we should get moving on, and we need to talk about something very, very important.
NANI?
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so good.
It's so 80s.
NANI?
Retro classics.
Yes.
And it really is so 80s.
So retro.
The quintessential 80s-ness.
This is, I think, whenever someone thinks of 80s anime, if they're, a bit, into anime, this is where your mind immediately goes.
Use of black for shadows, the tiny heads, massive shoulders and arms, tiny waists, long legs, crazy camera angles, the soundtrack. The way their eye area turns completely black when they're reliving memories or being serious.
We are, of course, talking about Fist of the North Star.
Ba-ba.
NANI?
Yes.
I'm never going to get sick of pushing that. And it is also, where, as you can probably tell from all the times we've been pressing the NANI button, the origin of this very famous line.
お前はもう死んでいる。NANI?
I believe that was a bit of dubstep at the end there.
Yes, it was. That's the origin of dubstep. Thank you very much.
This is a very violent
This
anime
is
about a
hyper-violent.
post-apocalyptic world.
To put that in perspective, that line meaning "you are already dead." What? And then the explosion sound.
That is the man's head.
Yes.
A man's head.
Your main
We still have
character.
that soundbite.
Somewhere.
Your main character has an ability. He's from a martial arts school, which trains in striking at secret acupressure points, such that after they've been struck, you can walk away and that person will explode in a violent, messy, gory puddle.
Yep.
It is pretty intense, and I love it.
It's
very intense. And what I notice is that moral codes and ethics just go straight out the window. There's blood everywhere. It's all a bright orangey red.
It is.
It
It
is.
is very, very full on. They did do some interesting stuff with this. The original anime for it, Hyoto no Ken, ran for 109 episodes, and that was from 1984 to 87. And the original manga ran from 83 to 88 in Weekly Shōnen Jump, of all places. And that was for 27 volumes. So that's quite a lot.
Was it as violent as the film?
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar in principle to how Akira, when they made the film, it wasn't as close to the original stuff, and they skipped some of the violence and some of the other content.
So violent, in fact, was it, that a form of censorship had to be put into place for the movie.
Oh, yes.
It did, didn't it?
You'll notice that at various points when people are exploding, that there will be a color change, like there will be sort of like an inverted color palette, or the screen will be zoomed and cropped up to the side, so you don't get to see all of the sausages blowing out of them.
It's interesting because one of the key criticisms, this had a series first, from, as I mentioned, from 84 to 87. And one of the key criticisms of the series is that it didn't correctly portray the level of violence
in the manga
shown in the manga. This film then came out in 86, and it's considered to be closer to the source material due to its depiction of violence.
And it was so close that parent groups were just so worried about it, going, oh, that's too far. Could you please censor it a little? Okay.
Yeah. Now, the film's opening sequence is beautiful.
Oh,
it is. We will talk a little bit more about the series and the manga in a moment, but we want to talk about the film because this kind of feels more definitive to give you a good, strong idea of that first major arc in the story from the manga.
What is the story?
Well, the film opens with a beautiful, wide sweeping shots of the countryside in spring with a soaring opening score, and then the nuclear apocalypse of 1990X, featuring a large ship embedded in the top of a skyscraper and a canyon where the ocean was. Most of the Earth is contaminated wasteland, and the survivors are fighting over the remaining water and food supplies. I've just combined the two. Forta. That's water and food supplies all together.
So this is a barren wasteland, and it's lawless. It's completely lawless.
It's essentially it's now the law of power and brute force. So after the world's been established, we're introduced to two rival martial arts gangs. There's the Hokuto Shinken and the Nanto Saiken. And our main man, Kenshiro, he is traveling the wastes with Yuria, his fiancée, and she is a descendant of the Nanto line. He is a descendant of the Shinken line.
And there's a prophecy that these two lines should never fight because it could doom the world.
Exactly. Which is a cool concept for a story. But that's kind of I do wonder because this is once again a series where it's just power levels are a bit silly, aren't they?
Power levels and I want to say height levels.
That's something else completely.
Like
isn't
Kenshiro
it?
will constantly come up against bad guys who are.
They start off at the same height, and then suddenly they seem to have grown to being 3 times his height.
Titanic proportions, great Goliaths before him.
It just happens. Now, Hokuto Shinken is a form of ancient martial arts in this world, where the user's energy is built at the fists and focused into the opponent's pressure points. So basically, using these pressure points, the energy flows into their bodies and can basically combust them from the inside out. There's a lot of head explosions in this.
Yeah.
And this is what Kenshiro is trying to master.
And now the rival school uses something similar, but rather than energy being poured into a point to make things explode, it more cuts like ribbons and blades.
Which I thought was a really fascinating way to kind of show the two different sides of it.
Exactly.
So Kenshiro and Yuria, when they're walking the wastelands, this is in the opening sequence, the pair are confronted by a gang led by Ken's former best friend Shin. He's a master of that rival Nento Saiken style, and he has been led to want Yuria as his partner. So that means that the styles wouldn't combine.
He's convinced that Kenshiro won't be able to protect her in this wasteland.
Yeah, Shin proclaims that he's been in love with Yuria for a long time, and with no law to intervene now, he challenges Ken over her, and after defeating Ken in combat, Shin engraves 7 wounds in Ken's chest and leaves him for dead, taking Yuria with him. And that is where we begin.
Interesting bit. We're not going to jump to the live action yet, are we? No. Remember that there are 7 wounds in his chest, everyone.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That's actually a rather important thing, which we will cover to either.
Indeed.
Now, while all this is happening, Ken's eldest brother in training, so I don't think they're blood related, just brothers from the same martial arts school, Rao, he's witnessing the fight and he decides not to intervene. He returns to his dojo where he finds Sensei Ryuken meditating and challenges his decision to have Ken as, the leader of the martial arts school.
And the sensei is the current master, isn't he?
So he then kills the sensei and proclaims he will now be the ruler of the world.
So a lot of power power play here.
Now, there's a lot of characters as well that get introduced throughout this show. I mean, the series, for starters, this is peak 80s. If you have ever watched anything from around 85, like smack bang in the middle of that, it's great.
Yeah, you'll compare these things to like the big action movies, the Schwarzenegger and the Stallone action movies
of the 80s. Conan style film.
Exactly. At a certain point, you stop calling it an anime and have to just refer to it as a man-anime.
This is awesome.
This made me grow chest hair on my legs.
It's every little trope. It's the stoic, silent main character with the heart of gold and the fabulous hair.
Yeah.
And he
the
resembles
hair.
like a point between a hanging slab of meat and a marble chiseled muscular Adonis.
I also have to say that Shin definitely feels like he's inspired by whatever birthed Dio in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So these mangas came out at the same time.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I thought for
Really?
sure that JoJo was inspired by, not
No,
made alongside.
they were in the same magazine. They were both in Shonen Jump.
Oh my goodness.
Do you
Yeah.
reckon they were
Really?
sharing notes?
No, I think there must
They-
have been like
Were they trying to out-80s each other?
maybe they'd been seeing American import films and those were their inspiration.
But of course, to have both of those in the same magazine just printed at the same time, was there just like a massive just growth of chest hair in Japan at that
It
time?
was Shonen Jump, so
So JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
mhm.
has its roots in the 80s.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But it hasn't been turned into an anime yet
No,
until recently?
There was a anime in the 80s which ran for 52 or 51 episodes, if memory serves us right.
And,
About
and-
JoJo?
and a movie,
Yeah.
I believe.
And a movie. And
Okay.
now we got a reboot, essentially, of it about 5 years back.
Right. So,
Various
okay,
series.
So
well,
similar
there
to
we
how
go.
like
I've
we
learnt
saw
something
with
new.
Full Metal Alchemist, where they didn't have the full script. Same sort of thing with JoJo. They decided to wrap it up in their own way.
Oh wow.
So that's how they did that in the film, and then the manga has just continued.
I wonder how many animes that's actually happened to.
It was very prevalent for anime up till about 96, I think it was.
Yeesh.
It's something we should definitely have a look at, like killed too early sort of thing. So same sort of principle as what happened with Serenity and so on.
May it rest in peace.
Yeah. But so look, this is definitely being inspired by whatever birthed Dio and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Former best friends, a god complex, crazy hair, evil attitudes, purple attire used in the opening confrontation really plays into that aesthetic present throughout all these style of animes.
And what are they after? Power, dominion over the world, or the love of a good woman?
Or all at once.
Yes.
Everything at the same time.
Also, the fighting in this series is over the top and once again incredibly 80s. It is those sequences where people get thrown over the top in the distance. The same thing you'd expect from like an action flick where the budget wasn't too big.
Of course, you're not looking at Dragon Ball here, where they charge up for like a full episode only to unleash their final attack. But
But the escalation in power is very
the
Dragon Ball.
escalation in power is there. But oh no, the fights are just constant and they are fast paced and just woohoo brutal.
So Kenshiro, after being left for dead, is summoned through the cries of a girl.
Yeah.
As these two kids are running from bandits. She screams, and then suddenly Kenshiro appears.
It seems
He
like he's
act-
risen out of the ground.
Yeah, we don't know really how long he's been there, and it seems like he's ended up near a city or a town that's in ruin. He does power up.
He does.
When he powers up, his shirt just gets ripped off and
Yeah.
miraculously appears back on him. And the next, when things calm down,
He has Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z's power. Cloves beam!
I think maybe you might be right. It's just funny how conveniently his pants don't come off. Maybe
Very,
that's
very
not where all
convenient.
of his power is stored.
It's in the pecs. It's in the hair.
It's not in the pants.
It's one thing I also should point out with the fight power escalation. At the end, it eventually gets to energy beam levels of combat.
Yes.
Along with city destroying levels of destruction. There's
does
also a lot of
escalate.
head explodes, which as we mentioned, brought up the whole issue of censorship as well. Like with the plain. Let's be honest. The way the censorship is done is a bit weird.
Yeah, it looks...
Because like at the time you'd see
Yeah.
things getting either just plain old cut from a sequence or implied that they'd happened through like a flash, or you'd get something where they black barred it, or they might have even blurred it, depending on the technology available.
Yeah, in this, it's more just sort of like a trippy color effect. It looks like something out of a Rage late night video clip.
It's also not consistent either.
No, it's not. It changes. Like you might see, like sometimes it just looks like the frame has been multiplied, shifted, like maybe a quarter of the way across the page, and just a kaleidoscope of colors applied to it.
There's been color grading, colored flashes, color distortion to hide blood textures and graphic violence, along with, as Coco was saying, that sort of like almost tricolor stereo splitting.
Yeah, kind of like those old school 3D images.
Yeah.
I
wonder if you watch it with 3D goggles, if it'll...
Ooh, that would be weird.
I'm going to do that. I will report back.
We'll see how Kyle manages this.
I warn you, but, you know. I actually think this kind of weird form of censorship actually works to the movie's favor. It's stylistic in a certain way. It somehow makes the scene more... don't want to say visceral, but more unreal, like surreal.
It did kind of add like a whole sort of sci-fi element to it because of the way it was handled.
Exactly.
But this kind of... We do have to briefly go back to one scene that I want to talk about in particular, and that's the scene with the Zed fight. Now, Zed is the guy whose head explodes with the Omari wa Shinderu.
You mean the...
Omari wa mo Shinderu.
Nani?
You mean this?
お前はもう死んでいる。
Was that the button?
Thank you. I was trying to find it. I was like, where is that thing? I want to press buttons.
Look, it's that scene. Now, we mentioned that, so this has appeared in every rendition of... Do I have to press another button?
That's a man's head.
There it is! There it is!
This scene where Zed's head explodes appears in every rendition and version of this story. So the anime adaptation, the long form 51 episodes, has it happen. The film has it happen with almost the same exact framing, just slightly different animation style.
I mean,
the manga, of course, the origin has it happen. Even the Western adaptation live action film has it happen.
So it's a big deal.
I mean, it's such a major moment. This is the show off of his power. This is like the first Kamehameha, if I keep referring things to Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I mean, Dragon Ball was the same era as well.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think you have to have this in every piece because this is the moment which shows you what this guy can do.
It does. Also, Jaggi, the second major villain and older brother of Ken. So he's between...
The guy with the head that's caged, right?
Yeah, so he's kind of got his head like wrapped in stuff and he's got a mask on. He has a look which kind of feels like it inspired Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it seems like... what I suggested when I watched it was, has someone began Haruto Shinken attack on him and not completed it.
Yeah, so that's what happens. So he
Hokuto Shinken, pardon me.
So Ken attacks him previously in the story during a flashback. And he then pushes his pressure points back in to stop his head exploding.
But he needs to keep it wrapped and bound in the wire.
Yeah, because it's pulsating. And as I said, not for children.
Not enjoyable. Seriously, I have never seen so many head explosions in a single sitting as in this film.
Top that,
wow.
Michael Bay.
Don't challenge Michael Bay.
Please don't. I mean, watching that one scene from Ong Bak 2 where it's continuous arm cracking for like 2 minutes was enough.
Yeah, that's
honest.
pretty bad. Ken's powering up, on the note of other things this is inspired, Ken's powering up, so standing still while taking damage, the fighting animations, throwing people through landscapes in particular. That is very clearly visible as an inspiration for Dragon Ball.
Absolutely.
It's more Z than the original Dragon Ball. Because you can see, like, you know, when in that first arc in Dragon Ball with the Saiyans, where Vegeta or Goku get thrown literally through a towering rock.
Yeah.
It's the same style.
So Kenshiro has a number of people to defeat to put the world back on sort of track, doesn't he?
Yeah, essentially.
So he's got Jaggi, who's got the caged head. He's got Raul, who killed the sensei, and he's got Shin, who took Yuria. So,
of course, in the series, it's that every other gang in the wasteland is coming after him as well because he's this big, powerful, strong individual. He must be taken down.
Yeah. It also the last fight, and we're not going to give you the whole plot because we want you to watch it. Otherwise, that will get it a bit.
Yes.
It would ruin it a bit. But the last fight and the ending of the film are a bit odd. So
the ending is
very strange. So we got the side character Lynn, who is the one Coco mentioned, who kind of called out to Ken after he'd been killed, appearing during the end of the fight, and she appears to have some importance. This is better explained in the anime than it is in the film. The film just kind of wanted to get to that big confrontation.
Yeah.
It also ends with Ken finding a natural oasis at the end of a desert he was wandering. We believe he found Switzerland because they stayed completely neutral in the final war of the worlds.
That's right.
But actually it all appears to be in his head. And I think it's more meant to be like a reflective thing, him thinking about how the world could change for the better if they made it the right way and fixed it. But look, I can highly recommend watching it if you can get hold of it. We had to find a old DVD. There are a few streaming services that have it. I'm pretty sure most of Funimation's distribution hierarchy have copies of it on their stores. I don't know if they've got them streaming.
Can
though.
recommend eBay
and
Gumtree, which is where we found ours, which was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Good old Gumtree.
But that brings us to something awful. Something that we must discuss because
it happened.
It happened in 1995.
It is, of course, the live-action Fist of the North Star Western.
It was a straight-to-home video show.
And it shows.
And hardly any critics looked at it. Those that did commented on what a bad adaptation it was compared to the animated film of 86.
And it has Malcolm McDowell in it.
There's also 3 minutes of credits on black before anything is even talked about. There's no voiceover, no nothing. It's just this massive over-the-top score for 3 minutes.
Probably to impart upon us, the audience, as to how serious a film we're about to watch.
Now, this was 1993 or 5? This was 1995. And this movie was made for around $6 million.
Yeah, now
sounds like a lot. Really isn't.
So let's put this on the contract on note of budget. It had a $6.5 million US budget. This is the same year, exact same year as Mortal Kombat. That cost $20 million for a lower budget.
So a lot of that was
straight
Van
to
Damme's
VHS
salary.
film. This isn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good for what it was, but that still doesn't make it great.
So Malcolm McDowell, mate, what are you doing here?
Well, I mean, he did Caligula.
He did, but Malcolm McDowell,
don't watch it, guys.
Don't. All I have to say is his character is the head of the order, and he dies in the first 2 minutes. But then he continues to narrate the rest of the film and appear as Zombie McDowell.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I'm pretty sure that he just filmed those couple of scenes and spoke those lines on a soundstage, and then just took his paycheck and paid off a parking ticket.
Can I say, did they leave the soundstage?
I don't think they ever did.
I didn't see any.
Everything
location.
looks in studio.
It's a very small set as well.
It is.
Yeah.
They also so look. This is the set for the outside areas of the town. They're very clearly 2D walls, like cardboard, and you can actually see in a couple of the high angle shots where the cardboard ends.
So who directed this?
The Edge of
and
the World.
Who directed? Who wrote? Who
was
brought
it?
this film into fruition?
I've got it written here somewhere. There's just so many notes.
There's lots of notes to make on a film like this.
Let's start from the actors. So Gary Daniels is playing the lead. He is not a very good actor.
He's a good martial artist.
He's a great martial artist.
He's when there's the fight scenes, you see him really do well, but when he's delivering lines,
they just seem a bit flat. Yeah, but I don't know if he's actually a good actor. And
we'll have to see him in other stuff.
Well, he's actually in the City Hunter live action as one of the film villains. So yeah, but he reminds me of Zoolander.
He's got the pursed lips.
Except that that was bad on purpose, and this isn't. And he also keeps changing his accent for no definable
because
reason.
Because this guy is a Brit, and
his accent keeps slipping.
Here's the thing: the other actors are not bad, but often
Dante Busco is in it from Hook.
The pointless monologue feels so forced and out of place. And we'll get to Dante because poor Dante. But, this is one where it's been hampered by the poor writing and directing. On the note of that, Tony Randall is the director. He also was partially the writer as well, I believe.
He's been in charge of some interesting things. He was he did one of the Hellraiser movies.
Yep.
Which one?
And
It's like the third or fourth
wasn't
one.
the first one, was it?
Oh,
No.
And he also did one of my favorite classic bad kind of action films, Escape from New York.
Oh,
Hang on.
God.
What's that one about?
That one is
It has been so long since I've watched that. I can hardly
feel
remember.
that one
like
is a guy named Snake who's like the manliest man with an eye patch.
Okay,
And he has to rescue the president from New York, which has become a prison.
I have not
And
seen
It
that.
blends into every other sort of 90s Rescue the President film. Anyway, let's get back on topic. So, surprisingly, the actors aren't too bad. Though
Yeah, a lot of them carry the film.
They really do.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, they also kind of, as we'd expect of anime adaptation of this era, they kind of just take a lot of liberties. So Jaggy and Rao are merged into a single character called Jackal, who is actually of no relevant importance.
Yeah, he's not like the brother, and he doesn't have the whole like ambition arc that he does in the manga.
I feel
Shin is still Shin, except he appears in an appalling flashback and becoming the film's big villain instead of Raud.
I feel like if I hadn't have watched the anime film first, I would have been completely lost with this.
Oh yeah,
Completely.
it's pretty messy
lost.
the way they explain it as well, and there's a lot of like, I'm going to stand here and explain this thing to you because this is the 80s. And Julia's character,
Yuria
is now Julia. She's hardly explored other than being the cliche princess to rescue.
Yeah, she's
Whereas
the damsel in distress, and that's it.
She
She's
does
more
the
than
best
that.
she can with it.
She does, and she is also the only female character of note.
No, that's not true.
No?
Downtown Julie Brown.
Oh, sorry. No, I apologise. I completely forgot about Downtown
How could
Julie
you
Brown.
forget Downtown
Sorry.
Julie
So,
Brown?
If you haven't heard of this lady before, she was involved with like VH1 or MTV or something like that in the 80s.
And that's her actual name.
Yeah, well, no, that's
No, I'm
that's
pretty
her.
sure it's her stage
It's
name.
a stage name. Same sort of thing as like how David Tennant's real name is actually something different. They had to pick a name to.
But
That wouldn't
hell
be
of a stage name.
hell of a stage name.
I love it. It just works.
So, look, they do add.
So there's not much diversity in the
Yeah.
in the cast. There's a little bit, but not too much. But
So
I mean,
let's talk
this
about
is
Dante
post-op.
Basco
yeah,
because poor Dante.
you did well.
So-
if you're listening, you did well. Good job.
This is the amazing man who voiced Zuko in Avatar, and he's in this film as Boy Wonder Bat. Now, Bat is the one who has teamed up with Lin in the anime series, so it's just sort of the male companion. But his character is so much more fleshed out in this version, where he's like teaching people to fight and recruiting people, but he's also immensely annoying towards the main character.
Yeah, I don't know.
He
put me in the mind of Short Round from Indiana Jones 2. Just always shouting and
Rob Schneider from the Judge
Jeopardy Derp?
Dredd film
yes,
with Stallone.
yes, that is
That was-
exactly the character type.
Yeah,
It was just like the sort of like annoying offset to the main character, but it's like
I'm just happy that this didn't kill Dante's career.
no,
Yeah.
because he was so good as Zuko, so good.
So we did mention the set, but story-wise, they added an interesting element. So we've mentioned that everyone's fighting over food and water previously.
Yeah.
They added the idea of acid rain, which at the time was starting to become a well-known issue for areas with high pollution.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you know, the fact that the world is actually a danger, that you have to avoid it when it's raining, that you've got to cover your water to make sure everything is safe, was kind of a nice addition.
Yeah.
I like
Except that the rain they used looks very, very fake. That's definitely a shower head they've put above the stage.
yeah, I mean, we were trying to figure out where most of the budget had gone as we went along. And I think, like, obviously,
McDowell.
I was saying, we're going to say McDowell probably took a decent chunk of it.
I reckon McDowell took half $500,000. Of that 6.5, he
for
took
that
0.5.
one single
For that
day, he
one
was
single
probably
day
on
scene.
set. I want to find out.
I wish you could find out.
If you're listening, Malcolm McDowell, could
Please
you please tell us
We are big
how
fans
much
of you, good
you
sir.
earned on that
Absolutely.
money? Because it's our business and we want to...
So, okay, let's go through the last couple of points, then we can get on to City Hunter.
If we
Loved
actually
you in
get an email
Clockwork.
from him, I'll be very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So,
boy.
firstly, fighting scenes, they do try to respect the original source material, including the You're Already Dead scene, but oh, that delivery.
Have to say,
So bad.
good job on Gary Daniels for that split he does. That
Yeah.
was Van Damme-esque.
Look,
Very
the,
nice.
the fight choreography is actually really good. Though there is this glorious scene where some bandits ride into town and one of them goes, "Oh, look, a zombie!" and fires... No, not look, a zombie.
Oh, look, a baby.
Oh, look, a baby! And fires his gun. You're like, what?
He remind me of Joe Pesci. Anyway.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, it's a slightly heavier Joe Pesci. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to talk finally about the prosthetics and the special effects.
Oh, yes. So remember how
Now,
earlier...
Let's just preface this. For the time, for the prosthetics and the makeup, it's not all that bad.
Yeah.
But what they used for the wounds on Ken's body, those 7 injuries Coco was referencing,
Caused by the fingers of Shin,
which were stabbed into his chest,
literally.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, in the manga, in the anime, it looks like, big bullet wounds. These are like some serious scars he's got on him.
The circular wounds on his torso were apparently made by using a sanitary device which prevents men getting women pregante.
Can I just say, the props department of films are very resourceful.
They are.
They are just, they will take something and create something incredible from it, and there's just so much imagination used.
There really is.
I can just imagine the conversation here. You know what else is kind of that shape and size?
Yeah, so these, can we say
No, we will say the French word for it.
préservatif?
Yes.
Prophylactic.
Yes, the preservatives so they use these things on his chest.
They
Just
are
look carefully.
circular, plastic, used for a certain thing and
And it-
sold in packs, which you can unwrap them individually.
You can make them into balloons.
You can.
And
They can be very
this-
useful carrying water if you're stranded in the
yes,
rainforest.
they can. And
Thank you, Mofu.
I think was it the crew or just on set in general?
Yes, they referred
Poor
to
old
him as
Gary. Yeah.
They referred to him as prophylactic man, but the other more common term for it. That being said, the special effects are very bad. Fortunately, they're hardly used.
Yeah, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 instances and that's
Yeah.
it. It's like an orangey light.
This whole film you can find on YouTube.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Let's just say that I don't think anyone wants to keep it in stock.
Can I say as well, why didn't Gary power up and lose his shirt?
Because that would have required another $500,000 budget, and then they wouldn't have had McDowell.
That's
so.
true. They only had they could only use the one costume. For
Yeah.
the-
Well, actually, he never had a shirt. He only has his jacket, and he throws that off half the time.
Well, yeah, he does, doesn't
So
he?
it might well be the same thing. His shirt exploded and it never came back. There wasn't the budget for a wardrobe.
It's not because I want to look at his chest. It's just because I feel like I want to see. I want to see this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to see the crazy anime effects.
So the live action movie, if you're kind of like a masochist who likes old
If
bad
you
movies
like
like
cheese.
us. Oh yeah, if you like cheese, get this out. This is cheddar.
This is very, very strong cheddar.
If you want something that is an exploration back into the 80s, definitely go check out the Fist of the North Star animated movie. It is fantastic.
And I mean, if you do have what would that be, about 20 hours worth to pump through a series, I'm sure you can probably track it down from one of the streaming services.
Oh, yeah.
But that does lead us to the next story we have to talk about, which is City Hunter, another quintessential 80s soundtrack.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
I think I watched that as a kid.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Back catalogue.
Yes, City Hunter.
Yeah.
Now, this manga
You mean
ran...
Skirt Chaser?
Yes. This manga ran from 1985 to 1991, also in Weekly Shōnen Jump for 35 volumes. We only got volumes 1 to 5 in English due to the collapse of Raijin Comics in 2004.
Alas.
They were a company who were basically trying to do Shōnen Jump, but in America. Unfortunately, they launched the exact same week as Shōnen Jump US.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
Yeah, terrible timing for them.
I feel sorry when that
Yeah,
happens. I
so-
feel sorry for them.
Let's get through all the stats on this film because there's a lot to get through. Anime
Okay.
adaptation started in 87, ran for 51 episodes. That then spawned a second and third season in 88 with 63 episodes and 89 with 13. There was then one in 95. There's been a recent one. It had 7 anime films. There's a live action film in 93 starring Jackie Chan. And in 2011, it received a 20-episode live action TV show in South Korea.
Which is a drama.
And why are we talking about this now? Well, there's a new film out
Yes.
in France where it's known as Nicky Larson. Nicky Larson et le parfum de Cupidon. I've definitely said that wrong. Nicky Larson and Cupid's perfume.
Yep.
Yeah, I said it wrong.
No, it's just the pronunciation. It's okay.
It landed in French cinemas earlier this year, bringing the franchise back to the silver screen.
Now, to give some background on the story, this is a tale about Cyber Rio. He's a mercenary or a sweeper, a sort of a private detective gunfire hire who works the streets of Tokyo. He's a jack-of-all-trades kind of guy who will take any job if the price is right or if the person asking is a pretty lady. He's known
Especially.
fundamentally for two things: being an incredible shot with his .357 Colt Magnum,
Which was totally illegal in Japan at the time.
absolutely,
Still is.
and being a massive skirt chaser / colossal pervert.
Yeah. He's very, like, he is unapologetically...
This is literally the
Yeah.
definition of a pervert in the 80s. Like, if you were to cast anyone to behave in a perverted manner as a side character in an American film, this is the guy.
You guys remember those little statues that you used to get at shops like remember Granny Mae's?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you'd press a button and he'd open up his like coat for you.
Oh, yeah, like
Almost
the
on that
flashes.
level. We
Yeah.
are almost on that level with this guy.
Yeah.
He does have his cool moments though.
Yeah, that's the thing. He'll go from this like goofy kind of just pervy kind of guy who's hitting on all these like pretty women, and they'll generally shut him down by like intense physical means, like dropping a table on him or something.
Or a
Yeah.
piano.
But then he'll
Yeah.
just immediately switch to, "I'm the tough guy of your dreams. I'm
Yeah.
here to save your life, and you can trust me."
So,
And then he'll switch back.
yeah,
Exactly.
immediately after. So look, Saber teamed up with Hideyuki Nakamura. They have a business called City Hunter, and it's an underground jack-of-all-trades operation, and they are contacted by writing the letters XYZ on a blackboard at Shinjuku Station. And let's talk about Saber a bit more, because he's sort of a mix of early Lupin and a bit of Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
The sort of happy-go-lucky behavior side of
Which
Goku.
can then snap and turn into like serious.
Exactly. He's also likes to prank his enemies in a very similar fashion to Lupin and toy with his targets if he thinks he can get into their heads.
And drives a tiny car.
Yes.
Yeah, there
a
is
mini.
There's a lot of little crossovers between him and Lupin. Almost makes me wish there was a crossover.
I wonder if there is. We should look into that.
Oh, that would be amazing.
He's also, as we said, an overzealous sex pest and a serial womanizer, completely driven by his desires, and because of this, he behaves like a hardcore idiot, ruining moments of seriousness with that behavior. But despite all this, he's quite skilled and switched on when it comes to crime, and his job as a sweeper means that he actually does get a chance to clean up these people who kind of fall through the cracks in Tokyo.
Exactly. I keep saying exactly.
But to quote the lady he's protecting in the first ever episode, "I have the utmost confidence in you as a sweeper, but none whatsoever as a man."
And she's correct.
She's 100%
in that
correct.
assumption.
Now,
in
to
that
speak for the
assessment.
setting, this is every 80s kind of cop drama, detective thing, like Magnum P.I., shows like that.
The first episode has literally everything you'd want in an 80s film.
Yeah.
Like, there is a murder investigation, a shootout, a car chase, a truly despicable villain. There is explosions, an epic showdown, and it even ends with a freeze frame and a
it's-
banging soundtrack.
The
And this-
soundtrack is perfect.
And that's what I found about 80s films and their villains. Their villains are they're just doing it for fun. Like, they're literally just, haha, bang, you're dead. Hey, that person just died. Let's just kill that person.
Oh,
hey,
look, a
this
baby.
is fun. Yeah, yeah, like, literally, like, like in Mad Max.
Yeah.
They're just driving around, just murdering people. Here, same thing. In Fist of the North Star, same thing. It's for power, but it's also they're enjoying
the end goal is power, but
Like-
they're doing it because they enjoy
And
it.
that's
it's
what
like,
I noticed.
I will control the world, but this is so much fun. I'm just going to cause so much pain.
Yeah, like these days, villains pretty much always have a motive. They're serious, but these villains, they're just like, nope, this is fun. Let's murder.
Well, I mean, it makes me think of, what was it? Lethal Weapon 2, Diplomatic Immunity. Like, you know,
Been revoked.
whenever there's an opportunity for those witty one-liners in this show, they go for it as well. But, like, I've got to be honest, Rio is hardcore stupid.
Yeah.
Slow a bullet down so it won't go through a criminal and hit the crowd in the window behind him. He shoots it through his own hand. He then walks off all
coolly
cool
walks off,
until he
yeah.
leaves the building.
Yeah, he looks so hardcore.
And then
amazing.
starts screaming in pain and about, why did I do that to look cool?
And we were just thinking, oh, he aimed for the shoulder so it would hit the shoulder blade.
But
Yeah,
no.
But no, he fired it through his hand.
Yep,
And
yep.
that's the interesting thing about him. He very quickly jumps from ridiculous pervert to cool guy.
Yeah.
Like over cool, like ridiculous levels
Yeah.
of this.
It's a very sort of Lupin era style of behaviour for a main sort of antagonist who kind of lives in the grey.
Now, later on in the show, he gets a second kind of an assistant, a young
Yes.
girl, who
He's the
been
sister of his previous.
Well,
assistant.
no, it is the niece.
Ah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's told never to flirt with this girl or like try to make a pass on her.
Well,
and
that-
she sort of takes advantage of that because whenever he's chasing other women, she will sort of whip out her hammer.
Ah, yes.
Now, this is
hammer.
we'll come to her in a moment because she plays quite a prominent part in a part something we're about to talk about. But firstly, for the series itself, I'm not going to lie. I love absolutely everything about this show.
It's actually great.
The level of slapstick comedy, especially him getting the living daylights bitten out of him by the women he's trying to seduce. It's like, you got what you deserve, mate.
Yeah.
But the vibe, the comedy, the action, the music, it's present in every episode, and every episode is self-contained in sort of self-contained with a light story connecting them.
Yeah,
I love
it's not like there is no big major plot arc and like a villain in the shadows organizing everything over these episodes. No, everything's very much contained and it's sorted out in that half hour.
And yes, some of those interactions will be considered very dated.
Yes,
but
incredibly. But I don't feel like the show itself
it's
is a
not about
sexist
that.
show.
Yeah.
He is.
He is a sexist,
and
which
that's
is the
the
point.
joke. He's really over the top.
We need to talk about the live-action adaptation.
Which one?
The 1993 one, because the French one that's in cinemas at the moment isn't available yet internationally.
So this is Jackie Chan, correct?
Yes, it was created in Hong Kong in 1993, starred Jackie Chan in the lead role, was all done in Cantonese and Mandarin dubs. So it looks very strange if you're expecting, your standard Japanese backing track. It landed in 93, and while by no means is it a masterpiece, it's still a pretty good laugh.
Jackie Chan himself rated it as one of his least favourite movies.
Doesn't he dress up in it?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh,
We'll
yes.
get to that. So if you're looking for a mix of 80s style action with anime fun and a lot of slapstick comedy, this has got it because they like to break the fourth wall in this.
Yeah, I like how they do it too.
Like Jackie on several occasions is talking directly to the viewer.
Honestly, you wouldn't actually know it was based on a manga or anything. You would just think it was part of, Jackie Chan's like big collection of crazy Hong Kong kung fu films.
Or one of the ones which claimed he was actually part of the cast, and then they just filmed him while he was on set in secret.
Yeah, there was a few of those.
There's
That
about
was
5
weird.
of them where they put Jackie Chan as the lead actor on it. He's literally in it for 2 minutes, and he was showing choreography to someone.
Were
That was
those
it.
Godfrey Ho productions?
No, I don't think so.
You got
But-
those as a massive things from one of our mates, didn't you? Like this
Yeah,
big collection of
a big collection of
weird,
Jackie
bad
Chan's
movies.
Mandarin and Cantonese films. But look, so let's be honest. This is by no means a perfect adaptation of the source material, and the script does fall flat on quite a few occasions. But there are plenty of standout moments that make you laugh out loud. Now, we do need to address the current ratings for it. So it's currently on a 43% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's from 7 critics. Some of these
audience?
critics are no longer in business, were never listed as an official rated critic, and some which have decided to vote multiple times, such as Film Freak Central, which voted it rotten and 0 on twice, but their review on their website no longer publicly available, which means we have no idea why that was made.
I wonder if
and their
Jackie
notes are
annoyed-
just saying, "Oh, it's disgusting."
Weird.
So.
I wonder if Jackie annoyed them or something.
Yeah. They also do have a bit of a reputation of doing some very odd ratings, being a bit snobbish. So I don't know why they would have chosen this film to review.
Yeah,
Right.
it's... Don't just trust...
for argument's sake, they gave Joker a 1 out of 10.
Huh.
So, considering the cinematography and everything that's involved in that film, it does make me wonder what their actual rating system's based on.
Yeah, my whole philosophy on that these days is to read everything as far as critics and stuff go, but to believe nothing until you've seen it for yourself.
But probably the closest to a reputable name in the reviews is IGN Movies, who gave it 3 stars out of 5. Though this line has me wondering exactly how they came to that. So, and this is a direct quote. Supposedly an adaptation of the popular Japanese animation series, it fails as an adaptation but succeeds as a fun Jackie Chan flip. How can it supposedly fail as How can it fail as an adaptation if you don't actually know what it's adapting?
Yes, supposedly it's this. Someone told me, and someone also told me that it failed to do so.
Yeah. So look, I mean, no offense to him, but it just kind of seems like a.
So perhaps they needed to do more research.
Yeah, a little
It
bit.
could have been perhaps misworded.
Admittedly, these reviews did come around 2005, so internet research probably a little less well known there. But let's more look at the audience score, because I think that's definitely more accurate. 10,000 users, 61%.
Sounds pretty solid.
That is actually pretty much what I gave it. I personally gave it a 6 out of 10 myself.
Now, as I said, it ain't a masterpiece. It's nowhere near a masterpiece.
Oh, but it has masterpiece moments in it.
It is a good ride.
There is a scene. This is basically what makes it kind of famous, apart from its origins. Jackie is kicked into a game machine by what's actor's name?
From Fist of the North Star?
Yes.
Oh,
not McDonald.
Not McDowell.
Donald.
Gary.
Gary.
Yes,
Gary.
Thank you, Coco.
Is Gary in it?
Yes.
Gary is the villain.
Gary
and
is
there's
one
a
of the
scene
villains.
where he's working out, which has been well known across the internet.
Yeah, where he's doing a full Van Damme split. But
It's bad.
Gary.
So Gary Daniels kicks him into the.
He kicks him into a arcade machine, and when Jackie Chan rises from the machine, he is dressed as E Honda from Super Street Fighter.
Now, so couple of things about this. Because Jackie had a contract with car manufacturer Mitsubishi at the time, they changed the name of the character from Honda to Hyundai.
Yeah, it's listed on the screen as Hyundai with an E.
Yeah, to avoid any legal issues during that scene.
Because he can't say the word Honda, because that might be misconstrued.
Because it's
and
construed as
recut.
him potentially promoting Honda.
Yep.
And then after that, he turns into Dalsim and Guile, with the full wig, the full hair, and the full costume.
To be honest, the costuming department outdid themselves on this film.
And it ends with him dressed up in full drag as Chun-Li, using her entire famous moveset. Fireballs and all. It is perfect.
Now, Jackie Chan apparently dislocated his shoulder during production for this film, according to one of his books. He also had to actually have a stunt double help him during reshoots because they were under such a tight time constraint and wanted to get it out in time for Chinese New Year.
Oh.
So because they were rushing to the end, it meant while he was resting, recuperating after one take, the other stunt double would step in and try it, and they just keep swapping.
Damn.
Just nuts.
You gotta wonder, though, is there any film from that era that Jackie Chan was not injured on?
Ooh.
He will what? It's sort of a...
What was the one where he ended up getting injured underneath the truck?
Oh.
It was like one of his
police story.
It might have been.
one?
I think it was the third police story. It was the biggest one. Surprisingly, the third film was the biggest or something like that. And he was out for a year from that injury.
Yeah, it's...
All respect to actors who do their own stunts.
Oh, Christ, yes.
To be honest, Jackie Chan was one of my first introductions to Mandarin and, to be honest, Asian cinema is a full stop.
It's sort of a famous thing that at the end of most of his movies, they show the outtakes of his stunts stuff and just in how many ways you can get hurt from doing stunt work on a movie. And that in itself is a horror film. I kind of want to go look up that compilation.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, this isn't a masterpiece, as we've said several times.
But it's fun, right?
It's fun. It is not a very faithful adaptation in regards to taking a story from an existing City Hunter storyline.
Or just a kind of a...
It's more taking a fun spin on it to see, look, this is the character. What would happen if we put them in this situation?
And kind of taking a nice stroll into nostalgia.
And let's be honest, his characterization of Sabo is bang on the money.
Oh, yeah.
He does it really good. And the characterization of his sidekick is also, is also bang on the money as well. We will, I think I'll try and track down the clip for the trailer
The French
for
one?
the French one and put that on our YouTube and other socials.
It looks amazing.
Because it looks amazing, and if you've seen anything from City Hunter before, you'll see this and go, oh.
Yep, they have the hammer.
They do. It's the hammer of
The 100-ton hammer.
100 tons,
Yes.
which I originally thought said loot, because clearly I've played too many video games. And if you do want to catch the City Hunter anime, you might be a bit hard set to track it down if you haven't already got it. I'd check out secondhand and Amazon and eBay to get a hold of a copy, because no one on the streaming platforms currently has it. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Yes, that is all the time we have for this episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Next episode, we're going outdoors. And for some of you, that might be mighty cold, but we're in Australia, and it's been 40 degrees C, 104 degrees Fahrenheit for our friends in the States.
Surely it's not that hot. Let me just... Ah, my eyes! They're burning! Ah.
It's okay. We've got aloe vera. And if you've enjoyed listening, make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our Instagram and Facebook pages for news and videos.
You've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with more anime and more Kawaii-Fi Quest.
My eyes are crispy!
Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, watch some anime!